If you are creating endless content on social media, you're tired, you're burnt out, and you're not seeing results, you're likely doing something wrong with your content strategy. Watch this video. I'm going to show you how I've been able to reach 10 million people in the last 3 months just by creating a content machine. Let's dive into it. Now, before we begin, you might be wondering, what exactly is a content machine? To me, I define a content machine as a repeatable, scalable system that allows your content to be created consistently and also produce predictable results. Now, the end goal is for you to create this machine of multiple social media platforms that feed into each other, with the outcome of being able to get more brand awareness, leads, traffic, customers, and sales over time. Now, this year, I've really been focusing on building my content machine, and I have seen incredible results. That's why, if you want to build one too, the first step that you want to take is asking yourself what roles and what skills are needed to even create this content machine. This is a question that not a lot of people ask themselves, and I also wish I asked myself sooner so that I could have created this machine even sooner in my brand and my business. Because I'm pretty sure that if I figured this out earlier, I would have probably gotten even more followers, subscribers, and sales than I do now. Now, for every content machine, there needs to be number one, the thought leader. This is where all of the ideas typically come from, and this person is likely also going to be the face of the brand and the face of the company. Without the thought leader, the content machine will likely die. So for a lot of us, you and I are the thought leaders of our brands and our businesses. This is a position or skill that is pretty hard to outsource, and so for a lot of us, we will remain the thought leader for a very long time. Now, the second position or skill that is required to keep your content machine running is a director. This is the person who is setting the content strategy, is managing the content, and is also telling people what to do. So think about Justin Bieber. He's the talent, he's the thought leader, but he likely has a talent manager that's directing his every single move. And so every content machine requires a director. And for a lot of you guys, if you guys aren't in a position to hire, you will likely be the director of your content machine. But if you are someone who is in a position to hire, this is likely someone who is a content director or is a social media manager. Now, moving on to the third position or skill that is required to keep your content machine running is the editor. This is the person who's actually creating the content hands-on, someone who is either editing the video, creating the graphic, or writing the script. And so this person can be a video editor, they could be a graphic designer, or they could be a copywriter. But again, if you don't have those positions, if you are a solopreneur, you will likely also be the editor as well. Then the next skill or position is the distributor. This is the person who is in charge of actually distributing the content once it's created. They're scheduling it and they're making sure that content is appearing on multiple platforms. Now, again, this could be you, or it could be a social media manager or a VA, a virtual assistant, who just schedules all the content on multiple platforms. This person's role or this skill is required to make sure that you're able to reach as many people as possible with the content that you've created. Now, as a bonus for all you business owners out there, the next position that's required to keep your content machine healthy is a business operator. Now, a business operator is basically a skill set or a position that is going to make sure that everything else outside of your content machine is taken care of. So this is the client fulfillment in your business, the operations side of your business, basically everything outside of creating content. For example, I have my operations manager, Kylie, and her role is really meant to keep my business running while I focus on creating content as the thought leader, and as I also focus on managing my team as the content director. Right now in my business, I'm still the thought leader and the content director, while all the other roles and skills are pretty much outsourced. At the same time, if you are a solopreneur or someone who's doing this all on your own, you're not going to have a business operator, which is why so many solopreneurs struggle with keeping their business running and keeping their content machine running at the same time, because it is extremely hard, especially if you're not setting proper expectations with yourself. Now, speaking of expectations, now that you understand that these are the core positions or skill sets that you need to maintain a content machine, you now have to be real with yourself of whether or not you are still being all of these people, or if you have enough money to actually outsource and ask for help. And if you do ask for help, then you're going to want to outsource one of these positions or maybe all of these positions, depending on how much revenue you're making in your business currently. For me, when I started out, I was doing all of these roles because I didn't have the money to actually outsource and hire a team. At the same time, I also wasn't posting nearly as much as I'm posting today because I knew that I was a solopreneur having all of these hats and all of these responsibilities. And so that's why if you are not in a position to be able to delegate or outsource any of these skill sets, then you're going to need to be very realistic on how much content you can realistically post and also how many platforms you want to be on. So for example, if you are someone who is a solopreneur, then likely you're going to be able to only manage 2 platforms max. For example, YouTube and Instagram, or email and Instagram. Versus if you are someone who is like me and you have most of these positions delegated, then you're going to be able to be on multiple platforms like YouTube, newsletter, Instagram, TikTok, and also post multiple times a day. And so you really want to gauge where you're realistically at right now with your business and with your brand. But what's most important and why I'm sharing this information is at least you are aware of all these different skill sets that are required to keep a content machine running. Now that you have a better understanding of the core competencies or the positions that are required to keep a content machine running, the next step is to focus on creating pillar long-form content. This will ideally be the only unique content pieces that you'll be creating from scratch every week or every month. And ideally, these should be rich media pieces like written long-form content or video long-form content. So for example, with video long-form content, meaning any video that's over 10 minutes, whether it's a YouTube video, a live stream, a podcast, or anything else that you might be posting on LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever, anything that's over 10 minutes and is rich with content can be repurposed afterward. It can be split into multiple micro content pieces. So for example, in this video right here, I am certain that there's at least 10 different content pieces stemming from this pillar content piece. For instance, if this video had 10 different tips and this video is 20 minutes long, then within this video with those 10 tips, each tip could be its own content piece later on. And so that is why it's highly strategic to focus on creating long-form content, especially video, where you're able to chop up the content piece and turn into shorts, or you can transcribe the video and turn into newsletters or blog posts. Personally, for me, I feel like you get the best bang for buck when you create long-form videos. Now, on the flip side, if you don't want to create long form videos and you feel like doing written long form matches your skill sets best, do that. Written long form can look like blog posts, newsletters, and beyond that, it doesn't have to be a traditional thing that you post on your website. It could also be Medium articles, LinkedIn posts, things that you might be putting in a Facebook group, or even your Instagram captions, especially if they're long. The idea is you want to take one big, rich content piece, use that as your asset, and be able to create as many micro content pieces from that long form content piece to fuel your content machine. Personally, for me, I feel like your efforts are better spent creating long-form, rich media content because that's going to give you a better bang for buck over time. And it's going to give you a lot of ammo to fuel your content machine. But beyond that, if you get into that phase where you're ready to delegate to a team, it's going to be a lot easier for them to reference your long-form content than it is for them to have you create multiple short-form content pieces. In addition to using long-form content as the pillar piece to fuel that machine, you also want to consider creating long-form content in your social media strategy in general because it also is able to build trust faster than short-form content. So for example, someone's able to watch one video of mine and immediately trust me as a creator and also as a business owner because they've spent at least 10 minutes watching my video in full. Versus it might take multiple content pieces that someone needs to watch or read in order to get that same level of trust. The same thing goes for written long form. One person can read one long blog post or read one long newsletter of mine and immediately know that I am the right coach for them, or that I'm the right creator for them, or that I am the right business partner for them. Versus it would take so many quote posts in order to get the same effect. And so beyond just using long form content as pillar content, I highly urge creators to not sleep on long form content because you're really going to miss out on building immediate trust with your audience, be able to not just convert them into customers, but also convert them into raving fans for your personal brand as well. Now, to give you context on how I do it, every week I do 2 content pieces, one weekly newsletter and one weekly YouTube video. These are the only 2 content pieces that I personally create from scratch. Now, for my weekly newsletter, I'm still pretty hands-on. I sit down on my desk, I write the newsletter, I put it in ActiveCampaign, I schedule it myself, and so I'm pretty involved in that process from end to end. Whereas for my weekly YouTube videos, what I do is I have someone go on YouTube and search up all the different titles of videos that I should be doing or all the different topics that I should be pursuing. They will give me all those topics and I will cherry pick which topics seem the most interesting to me. And from there, I personally will script the video. Once I've scripted the video, I will actually sit in my house and film the video. From there, once that video is filmed, I will send that to my video editor who will then edit that content. I will review the video one time, and then afterwards, my video editor will upload it to YouTube. Once it's approved and everything is good, my social media manager will then go to YouTube and she will optimize the video, make sure all the end cards, the info cards, the description, the title, everything is all good to go, and then she will actually publish the video. My social media manager will also schedule all the promotions for me. So for example, she will promote the video in the community tab on YouTube. She will also go into my Instagram stories and post a series of stories that also promote the video. These are all things that I have delegated to my content team. Now, of course, again, if you are not in a stage to delegate or outsource to a team, all of these things would be done by you, in which, again, you want to be realistic with what your output actually is. Maybe you don't need all these bells and whistles, and that is okay. I'm just sharing what I'm currently doing right now at my stage of business. Now, once your long-form pillar content pieces are created, you now want to move on to the next step, which is creating as many micro content pieces stemming from those pillar content pieces. So for example, I mentioned every week I do one YouTube video. What happens is my social media manager will actually watch that video and she will create as many timestamps as possible to pull out 30-second sound bites, as many 30-second clips that we can to turn into YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and Instagram Reels. She will then show those timestamps to my editor who will actually create the content. Now again, if you are a one-woman or one-man show, you likely won't be able to pull out as many short-form content pieces, especially if you are also the video editor. For instance, one YouTube video, you may only be able to pull out 3 realistically, versus someone who has a full-on content team and has all of these roles and competencies outsourced, they're likely going to be able to pull 10 clips from each YouTube video. And so again, you want to be able to manage your expectations. Now, to help you out, especially if you are someone who is editing videos yourself, here are a few platforms that can be extremely helpful to you. The first one is Descript. You can use Descript to edit your videos, transcribe them, and add captions. You could also use Vidio to create the same effect. Or you can also use CapCut, which is a mobile app that you can also use. All in all, there are tons of tools available for you to actually edit your videos to get cool captions like this and to also make it easier on yourself. You don't have to be a pro. On the flip side, if you are someone who doesn't want to edit videos yourself and you are ready to outsource, my recommendation is to check out Upwork or Fiverr to find a video editor. This is where my video editors come from as well, and so if I'm using it, you can use it too. Now, when it comes to the weekly newsletter that I write, once it's published, I'll have a content writer who will actually pull out as many nuggets of wisdom that were dropped in that newsletter, whether that's quotes or whether that is micro content pieces that can be turned into Twitter threads. And the reason why we turn them into Twitter threads is because these can be easily converted into Instagram carousel posts. And so if you notice on my Instagram account, you'll see quote posts and carousel posts, and a lot of those are actually stemmed from my Twitter account. We use Twitter as a vehicle to just create the graphics, so then it's really simple. You just screenshot it, put it in Canva, and then you just schedule it. And so that's how we're able to create all these content pieces in various mediums, whether it's written or video, stemming from my pillar content. But it really helps when you actually are able to delegate the actual sourcing of that material. But again, if you are a solopreneur, you would be doing this yourself. At the same time, you have to remember that when you are pulling content from your original content pieces, it's going to be a lot less time versus creating a bunch of new content pieces from scratch. And so regardless, with this process, you are still going to be saving time. But beyond that, you're also going to be able to keep your content machine running, because a lot of times as creators, we run out of ideas. And so I am very grateful that I only need to create 2 content pieces every single week in order to keep my machine running. Because for me, I don't have 100 content ideas every single day. And so this is definitely really manageable for me. And you just need to adjust this to match your cadence. Now, on the topic of the amount of time that you're able to save by pulling micro content pieces from pillar content, I would recommend that you use that extra time that you save to create native content. Now, native content is basically content you create organically using the actual platform like Instagram or TikTok. It's content pieces that tend to perform really well because they're on trend or the fact that they're created natively on the actual Instagram or TikTok platform. What I have found is that even though I'm able to create tons of content pieces, especially shorts and reels and TikToks repurposed from my YouTube videos, I have found native content to actually perform a lot better because Instagram and TikTok prefer content that's created on the actual platform. At the same time, if my goal is to reach thousands and millions of people to potentially convert into actual sales and customers, I'm not able to create native content every single day. Which is why pulling short form content from your pillar content is going to help you actually fill in that frequency and that volume that is required for you to be able to grow fast on social media. At the same time, though, I feel the strongest social media strategy still includes natively created content, which is why, with the time that I save, every week I might film 2 to 3 native content pieces for social media, whether it's TikTok or Instagram. Now, there are a few examples of what native content can look like. Number one is using trending audio and following trends. It could be dances, it could be skits. These are things that are typically more popular on TikTok, but you can also find them on Instagram as well. And how you find it is you basically scroll through your Instagram Reels Explore page, and if you see an audio that has an uptick and it seems like this is a trend that a lot of people are following, you're going to want to recreate that trend as well. Typically, when you follow trends fast enough, you're going to be able to see huge spikes in your reach. The second type of native content I like to create is compilation videos or transformation videos. So for instance, sometimes there are voiceovers or specific sounds that you can use, and you basically put in a bunch of clips that you can string together and basically use that as content. I do a lot of these and they actually perform extremely well on the platform. And luckily, Instagram has made it a lot easier for us to create these content pieces by using the Instagram templates feature. So what you want to do is you want to go into your Explore feed, then you're going to want to be able to create a reel from there and hit templates. You're going to be able to swipe through a bunch of different templates that you can use. And from there, you're going to be able to just simply drop in a bunch of clips and it's going to sync them all together. I have used this feature many times and I really, really like it because it makes it so easy. And I love that I'm creating it natively on the Instagram platform. Now, the third native content piece you can create is native talk to camera content. What this looks like is you basically pulling up your phone and talking to camera organically. I have found that when I talk organically to the camera, it performs extremely well because people want to see a real human. People want to see native, organic, real content. Now, to take this a step further, if you want to up your repurposing game, what I would do is I would take your Instagram carousels that you might have repurposed from your pillar content and use that as a baseline or as a script for your talk to camera videos. Beyond that, what you can also do is you can screenshot each slide of your carousel and then use that as your content for talk to head like this. I've seen TikToks and Reels where people have used their carousels as backgrounds for their content, and they're basically reading off of the carousel or expanding on that thought. I'm personally going to try this out, and I'm really excited because, again, it's going to be less new ideas that I need to create. Now, you might be wondering, Vanessa, with all these content pieces, how do you actually write the captions? Are you writing it? Is your team writing it? How does it work? Well, back then, I used to write really long captions on my Instagram, and I realized that simply wasn't scalable, especially if I wanted to be the thought leader, but only focus on creating only 2 rich media pieces per week. And so what we did instead is we shortened all of our captions, and we actually created a doc where my social media manager can plug and play, mix and match the different types of captions that she can put in. And typically, the first part of the caption is something that is going to ask people for engagement. If you like this post, comment below and let me know what your biggest takeaways are. And then the second part of that caption is a secondary call to action that will say, P.S. If you love this post, make sure that you comment CEO and my ManyChat bot will send you a link to join my newsletter. This is basically the structure of our short caption. And we have not noticed a difference in engagement whether we posted a long caption or a short caption. And so if you want to make it a scalable content machine, try to make it easy for your team to be able to actually make decisions and to actually post your content. Back then, when I was writing all the long form captions, it became a huge bottleneck. And even when I hired a copywriter to write them, I would still need to approve it and make sure it was my brand voice, yada, yada, yada. And so it just took too much time. Versus when we actually slimmed down the captions, made it incredibly plug and play, made it a framework that could be repeatable, it was then where we were able to actually increase our output and reduce our bottlenecks. Now, at this point in the video, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, that is a lot of content that you guys are doing. How do you manage it? Well, for us, we created our own Notion dashboard where it houses all of our content. So at first glance, at the top of this dashboard, we set it up so that we have a content calendar. And in this content calendar, I'm able to see all the content pieces that we're posting for all the platforms. And if I want to, I can filter it to just look at YouTube or just look at Instagram or just look at Twitter and whatever else to clean it up. Now, below that, I'm able to also have a section where it's specifically dedicated to my newsletters. This is typically where I will write my newsletters before I transfer it over to my email marketing provider like ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, MailChimp, whatever you decide to send your emails at. Then afterwards, I also have a section for YouTube. And in the YouTube section, we set it up so that it's a Kanban style and we have multiple columns. We have a column for ideas. We have a column to show whether those ideas are now being scripted, whether those scripts are now being filmed, and whether those filmed videos are now being edited, so on and so forth. This allows me to actually see the workflow, and it also allows my team to see the workflow as well. And when you click on those cards, you'll also see the script to that video. Next up, we also have a section for our micro content pieces. This is where my content writer will actually read all of my newsletters and create as many micro content pieces as possible that will then be turned into Twitter threads. For me, I like to spot check these and actually look at them and approve them. And when I approve them, I just move them over to approved so that my social media manager now knows they are ready to be posted to Twitter. As you can see, we actually have a full-blown system that allows us to create and distribute content. And if you want access to my Notion dashboard, I'm actually selling it, so you can check the link in my description box to buy it for yourself. This was custom made for my company, and I just want to share it with you because I know a lot of people ask me how I organize my content. Now, once you have all these content pieces organized, naturally, the next step, once everything is approved, is for someone to distribute that content. And what this looks like is basically scheduling it out. So for instance, we schedule out our Twitter posts using this platform right here. We also schedule out our shorts using YouTube Creator Studio. We schedule out our reels using Later, and we schedule out our TikToks using the TikTok desktop app. Now, the only thing that we're not really able to schedule just yet is anything that has actual trending music on top. And so this is where my social media manager will manually post these on my Instagram account. But all in all, the purpose of this video is to show you the possibilities of how you can truly scale up your content. I understand a lot of you guys may not be at this level yet, but it's helpful to know all of these different things that might go into it so you can start prepping for the future, and also know that it is possible to not white knuckle your content for years. This is a mistake that I made, and it was only this year where I got serious with investing in my content machine. So many business owners are willing to spend thousands of dollars on equipment, thousands of dollars on ads, thousands of dollars on their clothes, but they're not spending money on actually scaling up their personal brand. And that is the biggest detriment that you are going to be creating for yourself. If you want to future-proof your brand and your business, you need to start getting serious on how you can create your content machine, regardless if you're a solopreneur or if you're someone who is ready to scale. That being said, if you are serious about building your content machine, but you need help on actually being the thought leader and creating the content from scratch, make sure you watch this video next. I break down some tools and resources and strategies on how to actually create good content, and I also go into my content process in even more depth. So thank you so much for watching this video, but I will see you in this one next.